Okay, welcome everybody. It is pretty close to 7:30. It is time to start. My name's Sam Poindexter, NI4DG. We'll introduce ourselves. We'll start right here with Kent. Go around the room.
Again, K4HKE.
Stacy, W1LL.
Steve, W3SAW.
David, KG4JW.
Mike, I'm visiting tonight at KK4RMS.
All right.
W2DZF. Dave, N2AWE.
Bruce, WB4QCM.
Keith, KA4JAA. Bill, K4GB.
I'm Andy, I'm visitor tonight, MC4AB.
Gene, WB4MS.
Jerry, K4GW.
David, KC4X.
Marcus, N4MFJ.
Bill, W40XE.
Dan, KC4WSK.
Steve, WA3RTC. Harold, N4HER.
Ron, KM4JPM.
Wayne, KO4BUD.
David, W4OIL.
Harlan, W1HRC.
Ken, KW4UC.
Linda, KW4UD.
Ron, W4UDB.
Ken, KG4FIN.
Michael, K4OLD.
Jeremy, KN4BVQ.
Jeremy Jr.
Working on it. Rich, KJ4FPF.
Okay. It's a good-looking crowd. I appreciate everybody braving the coronavirus to come out tonight. By the way, Rich, KJ4FEF, is looking for DMR help. I cannot help him with DMR, but
What radio do you have?
I got the TYT, the MD 9600.
I'll talk with you afterwards.
okay, a couple of announcements. As you know, we had the shack open for the South Carolina QSO party and the North Carolina QSO party this past weekend. We had limited attendance, but that meant that the donuts were plentiful. We all ate a bunch of donuts, and we had a lot of fun making contacts. And somebody told me the score was 65,000 for Sunday. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but the folks that did come had a great time. I've been asked to inquire if anybody has a laser printer at home lying around that they would like to donate to the club. If so, see Don or myself. I wanted to announce, I'm sure most everybody is aware, Bill Thompson, KK4ZIU, passed away about a week and a half ago. And Bill, I think he was probably a member of the Thomasville Club, but Bill helped us here. He helped Dale in the test sessions every month as a volunteer examiner. And he was also active in the tours to Tanglewood and some other AUXCOM events, some training and stuff. And Bill was always trying to help somebody.
I can't say enough about the man.
At this time, Kent, if you'll give us a treasurer's report.
Okay, walking in tonight, our bank balance was $4,447.19. We collected a couple of dues and made a couple of payments tonight, but nothing major. The only major expenditure that we've got coming up over the next couple of months will be the legal consultation fee for the bylaws. That's the only major thing. One other thing I will mention is that if you haven't paid your dues yet, if you happen to get a hold of an old form that has $12 for seniors and $24 for regular dues, that is outdated. That the new dues are $15 for seniors and $30 for a regular membership.
Thank you, Kent. Dale is not down here yet. Gene Bowman, if you'll come out here.
I'm right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were back
I'm
there.
just gonna make an announcement that the stuff we did last weekend at the contest. I installed a control box on one of the K3s, and we used it for some of the switching, and it's on there now for everybody that's using remote hams. It'll automatically switch you to the right antennas as you move across the band, so it should help the remote ham stuff work good. And if anybody wants to use it, please do, so we can get some runtime on it.
Yeah, Ken Kaiser's not here tonight, but we ask you continue to use remote hams and, try it out, and opportunity to see how everything's going as we plan on hooking up the beam soon. Dale is not down here yet. Don, Don has a couple of things tonight. The floor is yours, Don.
Thank you. There are three things. One, on the remote hams, we're going to point the beam toward Europe. That's 40, 20, 15, and 10. So you can work Europe, but we don't have it so you can turn the antenna just yet. Well, several of us met, and we're working on the shack and rearranging things in there and stuff. Harlan made a comment that we should clean off this wall because he wanted to get a county map. And this is one of the things about hanging around this club forever. We bought a map. It was really expensive. And I dug it out. This is Forsyth County. And it says on here, it is illegal to copy, reproduce this copyrighted champion map for any method, for any purpose. We spent, I think, about $200 on this map. It's 1988.
A little outdated there.
Harlan, here's your map.
I appreciate it.
And that is your personal map. There's a copy of it hanging in the another.
We're actually working with County GIS.
Maps are not quite what they used to be. If you look at my second thing, if you looked in the newsletter this month, copy of the bylaws, the new bylaws, there's been a group of people working on this for seems like multiple years, and we need to re-register them with the Secretary of State. And I'm going to officially ask, we have published them, I'm going to officially ask, does anyone have any comments about the bylaws? What I would like to ask is if someone will first, in approval of this, the board has read through it, we've had a lawyer go through it who's made many, many comments, one of which is probably the most important of which that we had always overlooked is that no club member should be liable for any boo-boos. So that's been put in here. A lot of things have been updated. A lot of this is required by the IRS so we can maintain our 501c3 status, and we need to update how we operate with the state. So what I really need is someone to first and someone to second.
I move that we approve our bylaws.
Okay. Harlan? And who?
I second.
Okay, thank you. All opposed? No one. All approval?
Aye.
Madam Secretary, thank you very much. This was a lot of work.
Great job, Don, for you and Jim.
All right, there's only 3 copies. My big printer, Bertha, died.
It is in the newsletter though, and the changes are in there, so if you want to read those. Well, I was hoping Dale would be down here to give us a testing report, and he's not here yet. We'll break when he does. Our presenter tonight is a man of few words.
Right.
But our presentation tonight is Harlan, AUXCOM ARES, and we're all excited. So with that, and I'm going to give you the mic. And you know, when Dale gets down here, we do need to.
Yeah, we'll just break that in. All right, while we swap over here. All right, I've actually got two presentations tonight. The first one's going to be very brief. As everybody knows, we have the coronavirus going around. And so one thing that the county asked us to do, for those of us that do stuff with emergency management, is every time we have the opportunity to bring up the update on this, let people know really what's happening. The media hypes it up, they put a lot of garbage. It's not there, and everybody's got a weird opinion. This is straight from the feds, straight from CDC. Is the briefing we get. I get 5 total briefings daily on this. And so, trust me, it's not what you think. As of noon this afternoon, which was the latest update, there's 423 cases with a total of 19 deaths in the United States. 35 states, including the District of Columbia, have possible or known cases. Right now, 19 states have known cases. The other groups are possible. This does confirm, this is both confirmed and presumptive case. It does not include those that just came off of, was it the Ocean Princess or Princess Queen or whatever it was, that ship. So here's kind of the breakdown, travel related. People that traveled out of the country and came back in, including those that were repatriated, 72. Person-to-person spread, 29. That's currently under investigation. I mean, we don't know for sure. These may be people that have it. That's 322. I think I was out of the camera range. So a total of 423. Washington and California, those states have the most. They have 136, as you see in Washington, 110 in California. We have 5.
Right before I got out of the vehicle, we got updated to 5 more.
The 5 more? Okay.
For North
Like I said,
Carolina.
this is as of noon. This is the official report.
Harlan, we're at North Carolina.
There's one in Charlotte, that's the closest. Everything else is Durham East. Here's your risk. I'm not going to read all of this, but it's low. What I want you to know is the immediate risk is low. Being in this room today, right now, you're probably not going to catch the virus. It's not currently widespread enough. However, as community transmission increases, that level will also possibly increase. Healthcare workers, those with EMS, fire, law enforcement, those people that deal with folks daily are at a higher risk, and those who have come in contact with people that are at high risk. And of course, travelers returning from international locations. The best thing to do right now is not travel. If anybody has kept up with the news, Italy announced this afternoon an entire country travel restriction within the country. You can't go from your location to another location in Italy. Wow. It's restricted that much. They just turned it around and did it today. So is this a pandemic? Not yet. The virus does meet 2 of the requirements for being a pandemic, but it's not met the 3rd. They do expect it, however, to meet that 3rd requirement in the not too distant future. So we do anticipate it being called a pandemic. And basically what that means is it's an unknown or unknown origin virus. It's uncontrollable. It's affected multiple people throughout the world. Right now we're pretty much there. Doesn't mean that everybody's locked themselves in the house, walk around with gas masks on. Okay? Here's your prevention. It's very simple. Avoid close contact with people that you don't know, and even people you don't know. If you feel sick, stay home. Don't go anywhere. Stay away from family. Kind of isolate yourself in the house. Let them bring it to your bedside and walk away. Cover your mouth and nose when you cough or sneeze.
Okay? And that doesn't mean use your hand. What do you use? Inside corner of your elbow. Clean your hands. Wash your hands continuously. Wash them before you eat. Wash them before you go to the bathroom. After you go to the bathroom. Wash them before you prepare food. Okay? Wash them anytime you have the opportunity. And all it takes is normal soap and water in 20 seconds. 20 seconds of washing your hands. Not a quick, and I'm done, which a lot of people do. It's 20 full seconds of washing those hands. And that means wash up to about here. Okay. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Those are the mucous membranes that will bring this particular infection in. It'll also bring multiple other infections in. So avoid touching your mouth, nose, and eyes if possible. Practice other good, healthy habits. Keep your house clean. Keep your vehicle clean. Okay? Just normal, routine, daily maintenance. That's prevention. Okay? Bottom line, we don't need to wear a gas mask out here. We don't need to wear gloves. We don't need to be walking around looking like, some Martian. We just need to use common sense procedures, and we have what we need. We have that prevention. All right. Any questions real quick on the coronavirus? Good. I didn't bring our public health person who knows more about it than I do. And I synopsized hers. She gave a presentation last week to the emergency management people that was an hour and a half long on the virus. It was insane. She's a good girl. Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about this. It can't happen here. It's never happened here. What are we talking about? Well,
Anything.
anything. Because here's the mindset. I want you to think about this as I walk through these and ask yourself, have I ever made this statement or heard somebody make this statement? I've lived here for 30 years and it's never happened.
Yes.
No reason to be concerned. It just can't happen here. Well, why should I prepare? We've never had anything major happen. Well, I'll just do what I need to do when the time comes. Right? You ever heard people say that?
Yes.
Believe it or not, I have heard this same statement, every one of these statements, not from what I would say are civilians. In the past, I've heard this from professionals. I've heard this from elected officials. I've heard this from fire chiefs. I've even heard this from emergency managers, which is scary when you have somebody that's responsible making these statements. Because here's what happens. Okay? It can't happen. Hurricane Agnes, 1972, Manassas, Virginia. 187 miles inland. That's what we looked like. That was just one picture. That's pretty much a synopsis of the way this town looked. My fire department was a 2-story fire department with a 28-foot siren tower on top of the roof. All you could see was the siren. It was completely submerged in water. We lost every piece of equipment we had.
So is that Winston?
No, that's Manassas, Virginia.
Okay.
That's up in Northern Virginia. It was incredible. I responded to the call when they put the call out to go get our boats. I got to the top, the crest of the hill, and the water was lapping the crest of the rise of the road. My department's down there. All I could see was a siren tower.
So is the red circle your...
No, actually, the red circle was the mayor house.
Guy that said he can't help it.
Exactly. That was his house. That's one reason why that picture really worked well. All right, it's never happened. Never happened. Why plan for it? This was DeSoto County, Mississippi. This was in 1994. This was an ice storm. Never happened before. That's what we had. 4.5 inches of ice. in northern Mississippi. DeSoto County is just south of Memphis. Just a county really over the line. That's what they woke up to. That's what I responded at 2:30 in the morning trying to drive down the road on 4.5 inches of ice through people's yards, trying to get to where I needed to go. Because you couldn't get anywhere. Trees, lines, etc. It was incredible. Happens all of a sudden, without warning. West Memphis, Arkansas, 1987. This was an EF4 tornado that I worked. I crossed the Mississippi River at 3:30 in the morning, right after this thing hit, and I was told, report to the police department. I couldn't find the police department. I drove into a war zone. I was in four-wheel drive driving over debris. Could not find the police department or the fire department. Why? They were gone. The entire town was pretty much flat. It was an incredible tornado.
Was there any survivors?
Yes. We had 28 deaths in that event. It just happened. San Francisco, California, 2010, a gas line explosion. 19 houses in one subdivision were basically destroyed through a gas line overpressure. That resulted in an explosion. Pretty much leveled all the houses, as you can see. One thing that all these events had in common, all the way from 84 to 2010, what is that, 26 years? What's this? They all had emergency operations plans, but not one plan included how do we handle that event? How do we respond to that event? Why? Because of the mindset. Never happened before, can't happen here. Not thinking. So here's what I want you folks to think about. Is your mind closed? We have a closed mind or an open mind. Are we closed in saying, hey guys, why go through all the stuff we do with AUXCOM and ARES when we're never going to use it? When it's never happened here, it's never going to happen here. That's a closed mindset, isn't it? So mindset. Everything we do, we want to confirm. We want to have a confirmation of ourselves, of our skills, knowledge, and ability. We want to know will we succeed or fail. Nobody wants to fail, right?
No.
If you're afraid of failing, what's that do to you? Prevents you from trying. Prevents you from operating. Okay? Will you be accepted or rejected? Trust me, everybody's going to be accepted when the time comes. We're going to take everybody. Okay? And in the end, you'll feel like a winner. Why? Because we'll have succeeded in the mission. Closed mindset. A mind that's not growing, if you're not expanding your knowledge, skills, and abilities in your rational thinking, you have a closed mind. You've got to be constantly upgrading that brain, keeping things going. Closed-minded persons resistant to change. They routinely believe that nothing's going to happen.
They are always
And that
correct.
they're correct.
Yeah.
Always correct. I had an elected official. I will not tell you who this was. I was writing an emergency operations plan for a municipality. This person looked at me and said, we don't need that. I've lived here for 50 years. We've never had an event that required us to have something like that. Besides, I'm a North Carolina certified safety professional, and I'm telling you, we don't need it. Guess what? They needed it, and they've got it. In fact, I'm in the process of rewriting it and updating it for them right now. Because it's necessary. A person with a fixed mindset can cause all kinds of problems for you. They cultivate doubt, confusion, and procrastination. Well, I really don't think we're going to need this, so let's hold that off. You ever had that? You ever seen it? That happens, doesn't it? Even within ourselves. So we need to open up. Okay? The growth mindset. This is the open mind. basic knowledge, skills, and abilities. We work through that and we continue to improve, master them, and excel in them. How do we do that? Well, through education, through training, through exercise. Okay? One thing that we talk about in AUXCOM, and I continually push this, is I know everybody likes to get on the rag sheet, right? Or they contest. And those are great things, and they do help your skills, but realize emergency communications is not like that. So if you don't practice the emergency communication skills in kind of your daily life, it's not going to function. Everybody know what over means? The word over, the proper word over, right? What's it mean?
So your turn's out.
It means I'm done talking, it's your turn. What's the word out mean?
You're done.
It means I'm done. I don't expect anything more from you, I'm done. Okay? What don't you ever say? Roger, we'll go over and out. Same subject in the same sentence. Okay? You're going to get jumped on by somebody.
I think it's the first thing Bill ever said to me.
That's it. So you want to expand your knowledge, skills, and abilities, KSA. We're always talking in emergency management, law enforcement, fire, EMS. We're talking about KSA. And what that means is knowledge, skills, and abilities. We always want to expand those. We always want to make sure that we have the ability to respond and do whatever's necessary. So from AUXCOM ARES standpoint, how many people think that that's just radio communications? Raise your hands. Oh, great. I love you guys. Okay? It's not. We're not just radio operators. We're just not going to walk in there and put up a hand out and say, I'm communicating, or an antenna or radio array. We're there to do a lot of things. We want to be prepared. People go, but I'm not a prepper. Everybody know what a prepper is?
Someone that prepares it.
Okay? That's a prepper. I do like that she does have her AK. She's good to go.
Not enough can to beat.
Not enough what?
Not enough can to beat.
Not enough cans of meat. All right, so here's preparedness versus a prepper. They're two different things. They're definitely two different things. Preparedness is common sense, before the fact preparations that you take and precautions. It's mitigation. How many people have a curio cabinet or a tall bookcase in their house? Do you have it anchored to the wall?
No.
You should have it anchored to the wall. Yes, we're not necessarily in a fault zone, but believe it or not, we do have earthquakes. And they do occasionally make things shake. That tall curio cabinet, that tall bookcase can topple. And it can trap people. It's supposed to be anchored to the wall. Mitigation. A prepper is a person who makes arrangements to live off the grid for an indefinite period of time. Their whole plan is, it's the end of the world, and I'm preparing for the end of the world. I won't be a survivor. That's your prepper. Big difference. Big difference. All right, so let's look at preparedness. Many of us were alive back in the 50s and 60s, right?
Yes.
So we remember being prepared back then. That was preparedness back then. You had your little home shelter, your food supplies, you were good, right?
Twinkies.
Of course, today it looks a little bit different. Now, these are modern survival shelters, the old time. Do we need to go to that extreme? Well, we don't really have the nuclear threat we had back then, do we? But we do have other threats. There's a lot of threats out there. So, depending on what your fiscal means are and what you want to do, depends on how far you want to prepare. Okay? Here's the prepper. This dude's ready for everything. Okay? This person has, and I actually know this person, they have enough food for their family of 4 to last a year in their basement. And they rotate it out.
No, but some of this stuff's not real bad.
It's insane how much food they have. They have thousands and thousands of dollars in food down there for a family of 4. that they can live off of. Okay? And of course, I love the cartoon because for when the waters rise, he's got his boathouse, he'll be good to go, right? He'll just float away.
And they're trying to run that.
And if you can't read what it says down here, it says endorsed by NOAA, NOAA, and NOAA. NOAH. So here's the risk we face in Forsyth County and the surrounding counties. We have a high risk of hurricanes, and believe it or not, wildfires. Everybody thinks when we talk about wildfires, where's that occurring?
California.
California, Oregon, Washington. Trust me. That's our highest risk in the county, is wildfires. In fact, right now, Winston-Salem Fire Department's out on a large-scale brush fire as we speak. I was listening to them on the way in.
Where's that at?
I didn't hear the initial dispatch.
The reason I asked was because I heard them get dispatched yesterday, and I heard the IC say, redispatch, we're gonna need, and have them bring all the brush trucks.
Yeah, that's what they got going again today. They got every brush truck in the county there.
Yeah, I think it was Gatlinburg, like 4 years ago. That was like
Yeah.
almost burnt down in the wildfires.
Start small, works big, works fast. One of the drills they put us through last year with the Advanced Incident Management Team Academy was a wildfire on the western part of the state. And they actually used one that had occurred as the exercise. And it was our job to kind of fight this, to determine the next operational period, how we're going to fight it, what we're going to do. And it's a challenge, and it moves. I was amazed at how fast this thing actually moved and what it did. It was so hard to get our hands around, and we worked it for a week. And it was extremely hard to get our hands around, just because of the way it moved. So even in today's environment, it's still going to be tough, but prepared for it. We have a moderate risk of flooding and tornadoes. There's 220 dams in Forsyth County. Did y'all know that? 53 of them are high-risk dams. 9 of those happen to be within 2 miles of my house. Not very happy. Most of those are earthen. How about earthquakes? We're at a low risk. Different earthquakes for us than what they have on the West Coast. The ground doesn't really shift here, it just shakes because we're really on a stable plate. So it just shakes for us, but it can still result in damage. But it's a very low risk. Severe weather is our average risk. That's what we're going to normally deal with, is severe weather, be it springtime, summertime, fall, winter. It's weather. That's what we're going to handle. So the worst case scenario for Forsyth County, this is what we plan for. This is where AUXCOM and ARES comes in. This is what you need to plan for. Because if you don't plan for this event, we can't use you. Because you're going to be dealing with your own problems, dealing with the event. That make sense?
Yes.
We're looking, our worst case disaster, 100% power loss in the county. Everybody got no power.
That's scary.
100% public water loss. Unless you've got a well that's got a hand pump, nobody got water. Roadways impassable, 95% plus. Communications lost, 100% landline, including VoIP. 80% of cellular is unusable. That's the capacity lost. 100% of your internet. Pretty challenging day, isn't it? That'd be bad on one day. The county, we're planning for a duration greater than 30 days. I've lived that scenario. I've actually worked that event. That's one of the reasons it's our worst day scenario. Is several of us actually lived through that, gone through it. The county's now planning on it. Why? Because we have to be on the same parallel as a county that suffered that event. and that was DeSoto County, Mississippi. How long ago was that now? 1984. Forsyth County is just now putting this in the plan. We're just now planning for that. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Trying to learn from everybody and realize these are things that can happen. That's our worst case scenario. Not a fun time, trust me. I was out front when I got the call, and all when they activated our pagers. Everybody remember what a pager is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Activated our pagers, gave us our response code, and I go out and my truck is coated in ice. I'm sitting out there using the butt of my service weapon, beating ice off the windshield of my truck that is that thick. No ice scraper in the world is going to take care of that. I'm beating it. Woman sticks her head out, tells me to knock off the noise. I told her to go back in the house and stay warm. I kept beating the windshield, trying to clear it. She goes, comes out a little later, she goes, I'm going to call the cops. I said, I am one. Now shut up, go back to bed. Like, I'm too busy. I got a hole just enough to look out of. And I'm responding, got all my lights on, I'm going down the road, sideways in four-wheel drive down the roadway. Going through people's yards just to get to where I'm supposed to go to. Because the road's impassable, but I see a yard, I see a path through a yard. I don't know how many people's yards I drove through. That's worst case scenario. We got a plan for that. So here's the question, are you prepared? Who's prepared for that right now today?
I went through 17 days without power under that circumstance. We
Okay.
had ice storm.
Are you prepared right now today to handle that? Is your family prepared? Are you prepared? I'll see a lot of hands, I'm worried. Okay. I'm prepared. Trust me. Most people aren't prepared. Why? Well, we'll get there. Most people have no conception of what it would be like to be in that situation. It's hard to conceptualize something you've never witnessed, that you've never lived through. Right? The toughest thing I ever had years ago was trying to sell a program to the company I was working, an airline I was working with, and it's a safety program. And we told them, this program, while expensive, can mitigate one aviation accident every 10 years. And guess what the financial person looked at me and asked? Prove it. Quantify the accident that never occurred. It's like, I can't do that. It's impossible. We still got the program, but what I'm saying is here, if you've never experienced it, it's hard to quantify it. It's hard to realize what that's like. But we've got to put our mind, we've got to open our brains, look out and go, this is possible. We can't have that. It can't happen here. It's never happened here mentality. If we do, we're doomed to failure. And as AUXCOM ARES, we're doomed to not be able to perform what we've agreed to do, what we've said we're stepping up to do. And even more importantly, what's the first premise of amateur radio? Under the law, what's the first premise? Anybody know?
Emergency communications.
Emergency communications. By law, that's our first premise, first and foremost. People go, why should we prepare? Why should we do it? Well, multiple reasons. Here's why we prepare. Preparedness saves lives. It's been proven. If you are prepared, you will save lives. And that's what we are all about. We want to save lives. It reduces the danger. Why? Because we're prepared. We've mitigated those things. That bookcase that could fall, we've got it attached to the wall. We've mitigated that event. How many people remember, a lot of you probably do, remember years ago, the chest drawers, used to, you could take those top drawers out. They pull all the way out of the dresser, right?
Yes.
Now they can't. Now they've got to stop, and they stop them. Why? It's a mitigation. Because children were pulling that top drawer all the way out on themselves and getting hurt. So mitigating the danger. That's what we work to do. It reduces the danger and the distress your family can face. If they're prepared, you're prepared. Reduces damage, like we said, through mitigation. If we can mitigate things, like they're doing down in Florida now, one of the things they started requiring, it used to not be required, but it is now. The roofs on new buildings have to be anchored from the roof structure all the way down to the foundation.
Wow.
Why is that?
Too many roofs.
Keep that hurricane from lifting the roof. Now think about if they did that, because what usually collapses the building in a tornado is the roof structure gets lifted. Once that's lifted, the walls cave because of the winds. So think about if we could do that and keep that roof structure, that might help minimize some damage. But it's expensive. It's very expensive. But it is a mitigation step. The other thing is if you're prepared, you're ready to deploy. How many people could deploy right now, today, even here in the county, if we had an event and I said, guys, I need 6 people and I need them in an hour? How many could do that? How many could meet that requirement? Okay? That's what we need. That's our goal. Be ready to rock in an hour. Be on the air in 2. If we want you to go to the next county, how many could go to Davidson County and assist them down there? Get a call with the flag went up. Our goal, be there, be deployed in 2 hours. Be on site as quickly as we can after that, set up. But be ready to roll in 2 hours. Why? Because we're probably going to have to collect gear to go to another county. We're going to have to collect stuff to go somewhere. So here's our roles. Your first role, first, foremost, and always will be family. Prepare them. Make sure they're going to be taken care of. Why do we say that?
Because you'd be worried about them wherever you're at, and you didn't take care of them before you left.
Exactly. If I don't know my family's taken care of, where's my brain?
With your family.
It's not where I'm at, it's back there. And we need your brain where you are. We need your brain functioning. We need you to be prepared. Our job is to provide reliable backup communications for local and state emergency management response agencies. We have the ability to do that. We have a unique ability here. We've got about 5 repeaters, 5, 6 repeaters we can work. That's pretty good, just for one county. We can also cover the surrounding counties if we had to. We have that ability. So we have, excuse me, we have one of the best setups in the state. We do have other people that have a lot of repeaters, and some of them have even more, but they got a wider area. Excuse me. Allergies.
Do the state, local, and federal agencies have equipment that can talk to us
Yes.
on these frequencies?
North Carolina Emergency Operations Center, which is a secure facility in the bottom of a National Guard headquarters facility over in Raleigh, has one room. It is probably 12 by 12, and in it, it has 3 multi-band radios. One stays set on North Carolina fusion system, one is HF primary, and one is VHF for local repeaters there. In addition, they have a second HF radio there that is set for MARS, military affiliated radio system use. That's MARS capable and capable of receiving WinLink emails. That's where any email we would send would go in through that system and on WinLink. So that's there. They're ready. Here in Forsyth County, we have a room. It's fairly big. It's going to get about 12 by 12. And that's set up for us. It's at the head of the EOC. The county has installed 2 dual-band antennas on the roof for us and an 80/40 dipole. We also have one additional coax run to the roof in case we want to do temporarily install something. We also have a couple of Cat 6 lines run up there for us so we can rapidly install internet, microwave, whatever we need. We could do some additional stuff. The town of Kernersville has installed a dual band antenna on top of their city hall that runs down to their EOC room right there in police communications. I was there last week. Stacy and I went and we tested it. It works well. And the town of Kernersville put that in at their cost for us. I'm working with other jurisdictions, Louisville and Clemens, to see if they will do the same, since those are our other major jurisdictions in the county. Anytime we can get that capability put in, what's that do for us?
Makes your job easier.
Makes our job easier. It helps us. It helps us do what? Help them. Okay? Because everybody relies in this county on the 800 system. Okay? And the 800 system's great. It's crystal clear, good communications. It's got one problem. It operates like a cellular phone. They all work on nodes.
That's what I keep telling Baby Cats and all that.
One-
They're messing up.
If one of those nodes goes out, they lose an entire area of communications. That's tough. They lose the ability to dispatch, communicate, etc. So where do we come in? We provide that backup, reliable communications. Who lives in Kernersville? Or in the area? Guess what? I got people, like I said, right there, provided you have the qualifications to do so. And we'll talk briefly about that. All right. Amateur radio. Working your little radio is just the tip. There's so much more that you are qualified to do and can do for the counties. Nobody likes to hear some of these, but this is what you can be asked to perform. Administrative duties. Sit here by the sign-in and make sure everybody signs in, give them their ID for the EOC. That's their EOC pass for the day. We can be asked to do that. What does that do if we take that person's position?
Freeze them to do something else.
Frees them to do something else. Okay? We only have 4 people in emergency management in Forsyth County. Do you think when we open up an EOC that becomes hectic and crazy?
Yes.
Oh, hell yes. Okay, gets nuts. Having the additional people that we know, that we train, that we're comfortable with performing these functions is a huge help. Tremendous help to us. How about assisting public safety dispatchers? Okay. Think we can do that?
Yeah.
Sure. Doesn't mean we're going to necessarily put you at the radio and let you punch the button, tone out a fire department. But if they've got a problem with their CAD system, or they've got something going on, we got a whole lot of stuff, we can sit you down next to it with a notepad, and you become the note taker. You're the one logging the events, so they can catch up later, but you're keeping it all going.
I don't see anything wrong with those. I wouldn't understand why anybody would have a problem with doing those because.
We'll talk about that in a second. How about operate public safety radios?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yep, absolutely. You walk in, I've got to be able to talk to the mayor rapidly. Here's our radio. It's on Foxtrot 2. Your mayor 1. That's your call sign. You shadow the mayor. Wherever he goes, you go. You're in his back pocket. You're his communications resource. Otherwise, what would we have to do? Grab some firemen or a law enforcement officer and put them there. Now we're taking manpower that could be in the field that we need, boots on the ground. How about answering phones, acting as runners, observe the shadows. I mean, the list is endless. If we started listing this out, we'd be here all night. Bottom line is, once you've completed the ICS courses, ICS 100, 200, 700, 800, we use you in these roles. Once you've completed MCOM 101, I can use you at an EOC or forward command post as a radio operator. Once you've completed EOC NCS, We can use you as a communications team lead, meaning you're the person in charge of the team going to the EOC or forward command post. Other things we can do. How many people like to hike? Have no problem hiking. How many people be willing to come out? What happens when we have a search and rescue? Little Missy's missing.
You'll go in the woods, go to the mountains,
Okay?
wherever you have to
You got
go.
a 6-year-old little girl's missing. What happens? Anybody got an idea?
Hopefully,
Hundreds of volunteers show up. Hundreds of people will show up to search for that little girl. They'll come out of the woodwork.
on there so we know where they've been.
We have to manage that from my end, with the management team, or whoever the search coordinator is, and team. Those are the people who have to manage this. And we want to use them. Why? Eyes and ears, more manpower. But the thing we need is communications. Can I take an amateur radio operator and put with that team of volunteers who will have volunteer firemen with them and say, go here? Sure.
Yes.
What's that just done for me as a coordinator? It's just giving me communications directly with that team. Because the worst thing in the world is to have a team walking out in the field looking for little Missy that has no way to communicate back to the command post. And they find her. And she's hurt. But they've got to stay there with her and send one person running back out of the field to a car to go back to the EOC, spending a lot of time to get help. Radio communications. Amateur radio works.
That could be life or death, depending on how bad she was hurt.
Very much so. And I will tell you that we are working on the SAR component with incident management here in the county, and amateur radio is going to be a key player in that. I can tell you that honestly because I'm the one who's helping the sub-program. All right, so you plan for family first. 30 days supply of food. Anybody got 30 days supply of food in the house? I do. Actually, I got 90. Toiletries, water, medications, over-the-counter prescriptions, medications, candles, you name it, what you need to live on. Okay? One thing you need to make sure you have is what?
Water.
Water, but what else? Yes, what else? There's one other little key thing that people forget. Toilet paper. Make sure you got enough.
Yeah, that's why you can't find it in stores right now.
That's right.
There was a family in Australia recently that was ordering a supply they thought was going to be for a little bit. They thought they were ordering 48 packs of, or 48 pack of toilet paper. They ended up ordering 48 cases, 2,738 rolls of toilet paper.
They're all set.
12 years worth. Well, yeah, okay.
Gone in 6 months.
Sleeping bags and blankets. How about this? How are you going to keep yourself and your family warm in the cold weather with no power in the house? Some people have wood-burning stoves. That's great if you've got a good pile of wood. I have a gas fireplace. As long as gas company's got pressure from elsewhere pumping gas to me, I'm good to go. You know, because we found out one time, right after we moved in the house, that power went out for 3 days. I turned that gas fireplace on, and in 4 hours it was upstairs because it ran me out of downstairs. It was too hot. And it was 70 degrees on the top floor. So we lived on the top floor. And only went down when necessary because it was like 95 down there. It was hot. Communications plan. What do I need here? This is important. This is key for your family. What do I mean by constant, Bobby?
Well, one thing is, where is everybody? If it happens, you want to get everybody safely situated, or at least know where they're going to be safely situated.
That's part of it. Plan of how do we tell you that I'm okay? How do you tell me you're okay? How do we communicate? Where do we communicate? Where do we meet? If we're separated, where do we meet? Now, we applied this when my son was growing up. We'd go to places like Disney World, and this really became prevalent, he was 8, 9, so it was really important. We went down there, we had a couple of his friends with us, a group of us went down, and we made a comp plan for these kids. If you get separated, go here. One of us will be there. And sure enough, we had one of the kids be separated, they couldn't figure out where they were. Remember what we told them, they met us, and we already had an adult there because we knew we couldn't find him. One adult went there, waiting on him. Communications plan. How do we communicate? Where are we going to meet? Who's going to do what? A plan. Very effective. Even if you...
It also takes the first responder that's heading to help you, lets them know that that child or whatever's safe. I was on the volunteer fire department, and we taught Edith emergency drill in the home. So if there's a fire in your house, I mean, in 2 minutes you could have a Christmas tree go up in your living room, and that whole room is involved. And this way your kids and everybody knows you're going to meet at this point. Fire department arrives, police arrives. Now, Johnny's still in the house, possibly hiding under his bed. They're going to be doing everything to go up there and search for him and putting their lives.
If you can't account for your family, somebody's going to be accounting for them. And that takes rescuers, that takes manpower. As we've talked about in some of our other classes, if you deploy with us, you're accounted for from the time you leave your home till the time you get back home. We account for you. Where are you? Well, you're at the EOC or the command post. Okay, now he's at the hotel or at the sleeping quarters, or he's been assigned over here. We know where you are, and we account for you all the way till you get back home and say, hey, I'm back home. We want to know where you are every minute. And that's communications. So how much you prepare is up to you. What your level of preparation is what you decide to do. But I would suggest to you that we need to open our minds and we need to step up our game. Because most of us are not prepared.
Yeah, it's fine.
Going to be deployed. I'm trying to make this quick. I'm trying to get going. We're running a little behind. There's go kits. 24-hour, 72-hour go kits. Build those. We want you to look professional. Okay? You walk into a command post or an EOC, this is what you're going to see. Most of us are going to be wearing 511s or some other duty pants. We're going to be wearing our golf shirt of some type. Some may be in full uniforms, dress uniforms, whatever. But you need to be there. You need to be looking the same. Did you prepare? Goofy, come here. You walk into my EOC looking like this, saying, I'm here to communicate, and I'm going to be looking at you going, well, appreciate your offer, thank you very much, have a nice day, leads you to the door. Don't know where you've been last. Anyway, look professional. We want you to look that way. The more professional you look, the more rapidly you are going to be accepted. The other part of being professional, looking professional, is attitude. If you walk in with the attitude of, I'm here to communicate, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to talk on the radio. We're going to escort you to the door. Why? You're not flexible. I need people in an EOC. We need people that can function flexibly. We need you to be adaptive. Our biggest thing is, like the Army says, improvise, overcome, and adapt. That's what we do. Notice I said books and playing cards. Why? Trust me, it comes in waves. You're going to have a period of time that you're so busy, you can't stand it. You go nuts. And it's going to lull a little bit. You're going to sit down and go, man, I'm bored. Playing cards, solitaire. Okay? Or you start playing whatever with somebody. Or you sit back and read a book for a little bit. The other part of that is, at the end of your 12-hour shift, what do you need to do? We need to sleep, but before you can sleep and sleep effectively, what do you need to do? Decompress. Read a book, play cards. Little downtime, something just mundane, brings you down from what you're going through. Food and water, bring your own. Be ready, be self-sufficient. What can you, okay? Communications, go kids. Dual band radio at the very minimum, with a mobile power supply, a mobile power supply with an antenna, of course. Your handheld, bring it. Don't plan on it being your primary. As people found out, the handhelds are great, but they don't necessarily always reach the repeater. Our communications must be effective. Laptop computer with digital modes, your ICS forms, all this administrative stuff. I'm going to show you a better list or where to find a better list. Because all this GoKit information, go to the W4NC website. Go to the AUXCOM ARES Documents tab. Under that, you have the ARES 2019 GoKit checklist. You have 2019 member SOP. And there's copies of the ICS forms. These are all in PDF, fillable forms. So you can actually do them on the computer and then throw them out nicely. Okay? That's all there. Those things should be in your GoKit. Local area deployments, planned for 3 days. 12 hours to 3 days. However, 7 days will probably be the minimum. Actually, I should say maximum. Be prepared to be on site within an hour and up to 2. The nice thing about the EOC is once you get downtown, it takes 5 minutes to hook your radios up. It's 2 patch cables for the antennas, plug it in the wall, turn it on. Doesn't take long. This is Stacy, W1LLO's kit. I've got a kit, Club's got a kit. Any of us can take this kit right downtown, throw it up, hook it up. It's there. And it happens rapidly. Ultimately, we're going to stage the Club's kit or the AUXCOM ARES kit downtown. We're going to set it up, stage it there because that's where its primary use is going to be. Because we want to start trying to operate out of there occasionally. Statewide, if you get deployed anywhere else in the state, plan on 7 days. That's going to be your minimum deployment. It's a 7-day deployment minimum. Can be extended up to 14. I've actually had one extended to 32. They kept telling me, you can go in 2 days. 2 days came, they said, nope, need you for another 7. We just kept building. It gets really crazy when you start getting that long. And then 12-hour days. Because the shifts are 12 hours. And it's a lot of work, and it's very busy. By the end of the 3rd day, 12-hour shifts like that, you're pretty much wiped out. You're pretty much done. So imagine the end of 7 of doing that, and then continuing on. It can get really, really crazy. When you deploy, a couple things you want to know before we get there is where you're going, who your contact is, how long you're going to be, where am I sleeping? They may or may not know. My last deployment, they had no clue. But you'll find out when you get there because we don't know. Like, great, I'm going to be sleeping on the floor in the corner. I've done that before. Okay. Where am I going to eat? I'm bringing my own. Just in case. So we tell you, expect nothing. Don't expect to have all this provided for you when you deploy, because it may not be. But be happy if anything does get provided to you. Be very happy and appreciative of it. You're there to help, not become part of the problem. If you show up deployed and you have no sleeping bag, nothing to sleep with, and you have no food or water with you, what have you just become? Part of the problem. But if you're fully self-sufficient, we don't have to worry about you. You're good to go. And that's not only you folks. That's us at IMT levels. If they deploy me tomorrow to Nashville, I go self-sufficient. Now, granted, they've just had a tornado over there. They still got areas that you can go have a nice hotel, eat good food, but guess what? I'm still bringing everything with me. It's all rolling. Be self-sufficient, be ready to go. Your best is when you get a hotel room by yourself. Sometimes you'll have a hotel with two of you in a room. Usually they try to go single occupancy. Sometimes they'll go double. Worst case is, hey, that corner's yours. You just curl up in the corner and get the best you can. Food. Again, best is meals cooked on site or catered in. If Baptist Men shows up to handle your local area, your EOC command post, you're eating good. Okay? Because I'm telling you, those gentlemen, thank you, Van, thank you, Steve, they know how to make it happen. Okay? Worst case is the MREs you bring. Anybody ever eaten an MRE before? Personal care, showers. Hey, if you got a hotel, you're golden. Sometimes, if you're lucky, a couple of places I've gone to, their EOC has actually been in one of their larger fire departments. Well, there's showers there. That was great. I've also been to EOCs or command posts where we don't have that, and for the first 3 or 4 days, you're running baby wipes. That's what you're using for your personal hygiene, because there's nothing out there. There's nothing there. It's tough. Yeah, things become a little right after a while. So what's our mindset? We're almost done. It can't happen here? Well, yes, it can. I'm telling you. It's never happened here. Well, I need to tell you, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. When will it happen? Because sure enough, it will. Every one of those pictures I showed you at the beginning, they were caught totally unprepared, totally by surprise, because they said, it can't happen here. It's never happened here. People in DeSoto County, Mississippi, literally were like, we've never had this. We never thought this could happen here. 4.5 inches of ice.
What about the year of 2000 when you all got hit with a foot of snow?
Yeah,
That never happened here before either.
that's right. We had 14 inches a couple of years ago here, right? 14.1 in my house measured.
And before that, we had a couple ice storms.
Yeah, it can happen. This is Nashville. 1:30 in the morning. You ever notice how this stuff doesn't happen, dude?
It happens at night.
Okay, doesn't happen on noon on a pretty day. Happens in the middle of the night, practice weather you can imagine. And there it is. That's the tornado. Preparedness information. If you want more information, and there's a lot out there, but these are the primary places. Ready.gov is a FEMA site. That's a DHS FEMA site. A lot of excellent information there. North Carolina has one, readync.org. Again, a lot of good information specific for North Carolina. And then we have readyforsyth.org. That's here for the county. A lot of good information there. Not only about disasters and other types of emergencies, but like right now on readyforsyth.org, they're running they got a little mini-series on there about what to do in an active shooter situation. It's fight or flight, fight or flight. Okay, and it talks about that. Gives you that information. Good stuff to talk to your family about, right? Good information to have. Preparedness, being prepared for what happens in our society. So, with that, any questions? Because you might get answers.
I have a question. Say you're a concealed weapon holder. I mean, you've got a gun in your permit. You walk into a store and somebody's robbing the store. What would you do? Would you pull your gun?
I'm going to quantity because I hold all different certifications, including law enforcement. So I kind of have a duty. I have a duty to react. That is different than what a normal concealed carry person would have. But do you have the duty as a concealed carry person to react? You know, what did they tell you in your class?
Concealed carry says you can't use a gun to prevent a robbery,
Exactly.
only bodily harm.
You refer back to what you learned in your class. I got a duty to just like, because I'm also EMS qualified. John Doe can drive past that accident that they just witnessed happen in front of him, the 3 cars come together. You can drive by that all day long. I can't. I'm required, I have a duty to perform, I have to stop. I can actually be held liable for that.
I've always wondered this. Does your car count as a generator?
Good.
You have enough fuel.
You got enough fuel for it. I mean, I've got an inverter in my truck.
Right.
So, I mean, I could run laptop, I could run a low draw power supply. What did I think it'll do? I think it'll do 5 or 8 amps, I can't remember exactly what it'll do.
So if you got all that, do you think you're prepared for emergency communications using it as power?
You could be. You know, there was a person, I want to say they were out in Oregon. They used their electric Prius for field day last year, and it operated for about 12 of those hours using the power from the Prius to operate their equipment. And still had enough juice to not only start it, but drive home with it before they had to recharge it. 12 hours of use, that's still good. But the reality is, if you only have 12 hours of power, you're only good for 12 hours. We need you for 3 days. We need you to be able to function during that time. How many people have a generator at the house? Okay. One that'll run your radio equipment. What about lights? We'll run those too.
Mine were a couple lights in my refrigerator.
And refrigerator. If you go crazy like I did, you got a whole house generator and the whole thing just clicks over. I never know when the power goes out. I get a flicker of lights and that's it. You know, so it's not too bad. My neighbors are jealous. They all come over. I put this in your freezer. If I had a big enough freezer, I could probably charge. Okay. Any other questions? 'Cause I've gone long. Longer than I wanted, but it was good. Guys, in closing, before I turn this back to Sam and Dale, think about your level of preparedness. Think about what your commitment to AUXCOM and ARES in the community is. Get involved. Whether you're doing it with AUXCOM, ARES, how many are CERT qualified? You don't know what CERT means? Community Emergency Response. These people, Steve's one of them, Mike's one, they go through 36 hours of pretty decent training, firefighting, basic search and rescue, basic first aid, things of that nature. How to turn off the gas meter at the house. How to turn off the electric, the water. Okay? Basic training, but guess what happens when you have a good CERT team in your community? A good CERT team, especially in your neighborhood. When that CERT team makes communications back to the EOC coordinator for CERT and says, our team has checked subdivision X, all's well. Guess what we get to do with the EOC? Check it over the back. That's good. Why? We've got trained people, they're qualified, and we trust them. We train them, we trust them, we love them. That's what we do. And they're out in the field. When we do that, we know what we do. Now, what does that do, though, when I say that subdivision's good to go? What don't I have to do?
You don't have to check it.
Now I don't have to send a fire or an EMS or a police car over there. It's good. I send them somewhere else. We're freeing resources up. We can do the same thing. That's what we're talking about. Serving our community, being prepared for the worst case day. Thank you, guys. I know it's gone long. I appreciate everybody tonight. Thank
Thank you, Harlan, for a great presentation. I want to get Dale up here to do a test report.
You don't need it.
I did want to mention a couple of things. We've got some visitors here tonight. If you want to review this program or you want to look at previous programs we've had at the club, most of these are on YouTube, and you can watch them from home on your computer. I also wanted to mention the business meeting is this coming Monday night, 66 Pizza. We eat at 6 or 6:30, and then we have our business meeting at 7:30. We're going over the budget needs and some other things. And I did want to mention too, Stacy's Go Box up here is very well done. This is just a great example of Go Box. If anybody wants to come up here and be sure and look at that on your way out. Dale, you want to give us a test report?
Is this where we stand?
Very good.
Okay, thanks. Well, a little bit tardy, the test session went well. We had 11 equivalent exams through there. We had 7 people, 4 people either upgraded or took it over. Some of them are here. If you're here, if you'd like to stand up, we'll embarrass you or congratulate you on your upgrade. Let's see, at least 4 new techs. I think one of them is actually a new general and an extra. They'll be upgraded, and he's him on the air, congratulate them. And not the least of which, I say this every time, we couldn't do it without it. We had, including myself, we had 7 VEs. Do you want to stand up if you're here? You can stand up. There you go. Folks, for grading exams, we had quite a few papers shuffling going up and back, so we're going to optimize some of the procedures next time, but still worked out pretty good. Okay, now for the repeaters, we've had some progress on that. First, Mike, did the red box come in? Was it Mike, the TYT? Somebody brought it in. Anyway, we'll find out where it is. It's missing in action. Back here. It's back there. Yeah. The club TYT is radio, dual band radios repaired. It's working. It's been working about 2.5 weeks, so we'll do a smoke test here. That's one you gave me, Harold, so we'll check that out. We'll have a backup. The 4.7 repeater, thanks to David, we had an executive chauffeur-driven truck going up last, what was that, Thursday we went? Friday. It's been about 5 hours up there. On the mountain, the internet provider changed once again their systems, and we had some progress and even some more progress this afternoon. I had them. There's some problems with port replication up there and port triggering, so I think the router's set up, so it'll work out good. So we'll have some additional control. We'll have to get some time and get over to the Baptist Hospital, do some work there as well. The Echolink repeater for 315, Jerry's repeater. Thank you, Jerry. It's still working okay. The one back here, the whole system has to be redone, the PC, the soundboard, everything went out. So we'll take that and repair it and get it going as backup. Work at Baptist Hospital, we'll schedule that hopefully in the next 6 to 8 weeks. And there's some travel involved, being out of town, so we'll try to get that when we can. Interference, we didn't see anything up there. All the cables and everything seem to be okay on 4.7, but we'll still watch and see. Every once in a while on a windy day, if you hear some crackling, so on, it's usually because the antennas are getting kicked around pretty good up on the mountain. There's not too much you can do about that right now. Any questions? Yeah.
Yes.
How is the site, are we going to change back XII when they get finished?
That's still undetermined at this point.
And I was wondering how they're coming on their construction.
I think most of the refarming is done. Don't know how much more. What John's question is back, what is, I guess, going, this assembly will be 3 years ago. We had to repeat up to the very top of the mountain at the WXI site. We're blessed to have it up there for about 20-some years. But we were asked to move it when the FCC had WXI and 273 other stations in the U.S. refarm their frequencies. They said it would be about 2 years. We're about the 2-year mark now.
I haven't talked to Michelle, but to be able to say if we can go up there or not again, so that's still open right now, we don't know. That's the CEO of WSFC, so it's probably a definite maybe. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Dale. I did want to mention too, we like to have everybody sign in when they come. I know a lot of folks came a little bit late, so don't forget to sign in, put your email address down if it's changed on the sign-in sheet. And Harlan has one more announcement.
Hanging Rock, April 4th. Need about 15 people for that event like we did last year. Unfortunately, I need your t-shirt sizes for tomorrow, so I've got to turn those in. So anybody that's going to participate or wants to on April 4th on that communications support, please come up here and sign the form tonight or give me an email with your sizes first thing in the morning. But I need to know. I need about 15 people up there. We had 15 last year, and I'd like to get the same amount. That's the only way we can really cover the year.
Thank you, Harlan.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to say tonight?
Can I make an announcement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Keith, K84J8. This is Phil Simmons, K4GP. We started a 2-meter single sideband activity night. If anyone's interested in joining us, it's on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, frequency 144.200.
144.200.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
As far as that hanging rod, I haven't been there since I was a kid. What do you think the physical requirements be to get up there? Just curious.
If people have physical limitations, I will actually have one person with me at the command post to operate radios, and then I will have one other area that's close in that we could probably get the park like we did last year. Some of the stuff is being run up by an park ATV, and they could take a person to that one location for that. For the most part, the farthest anybody had to hike last year was Stephen. And that's because he acted as tail end Charlie, and he hiked the entire route, making sure nobody was on at the end. I don't need the one person to do that. Thankfully, Stephen volunteers for that mission. For the most part, I think the farthest hike back in is about a mile. For the most part, they're right around a half mile or so, although some of the trails are a little tricky, as Stacy found out last year because she climbed to the top of the mountain. And while it's not that far on the map, it's a lot of height.
600 steps.
A lot of steps. And so if you know what your limitations are as we look at the route, you can tell me where you think you could be, and we'll make those accommodations. It usually works out fairly well. Handhelds up there work wonderfully. We work on Simplex, and it's great, because we're really within about 3 miles of each other, maximum.
Okay. Do I hear a
Motion? No.
Do I hear a second?
No, not yet.
No. Go ahead.
Just a reminder that Charlotte Hamfest is this weekend.
Right.
You know, it's usually a fairly large hamfest, so if you're looking for something,
Okay.
come and search.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Now do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second. Okay. Thank you very much.